What's up, folks? Your boy Droid here. We back with another video. In this video, we're going to discuss a way to win more games. We're going to address why a lot of players lose games. But before we discuss this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, the notification bell. You know what I'm saying? So the reason why so many of y'all are losing games is because you guys are relying on shooting threes too much. Now, why do people shoot a lot of threes? Well, of course, they're worth more points than twos. You know what I'm saying? When you hit it perfect, that's 4 points right there. And if you're up a little bit, you might hit a three. You got more space between your opponent, or you might shoot a couple of threes. You know, if you come back in the game. And now when you're hot from the deep, you know, shooting all these threes, I mean, you're gonna be winning most of your games. But it's not a very consistent way to win the game. So in the original Playgrounds, you know, my game revolved around shooting all these threes. Back then, threes were much more accurate. So you could actually win games shooting a lot of threes. And I was so good I could shoot like off balance, like sliver threes with ease, hitting all these perfects. But if you watch a lot of my old videos, like the ones like taken behind the woodshed, you know, I got exposed. You know what I mean? Like that method doesn't really work that well against someone who's experienced to sees your patterns. You know, and with Playgrounds 2, threes are not as good. So you really had to adapt my game, you know, expand it. So I became more well-rounded, especially on defense, focusing more on building up my lottery meter and scoring consistent twos, you know, instead of relying on threes. Once you got a defensive game going, you get turnovers, then you can start taking more risk, take a three here and there. But if you're a new player especially, if you're not really good at defense, you can't really be relying on threes, you know. You might beat someone shooting threes and then you just rebound the whole time and just keep shooting. But you go against someone who's really good that sees your patterns, they're gonna figure out a way to break that. They're gonna either shove you, they're gonna get steals, they're gonna build their lottery meter. Meanwhile, you're shooting threes, you know, thinking you're gonna win. You're not gonna win a lot of games shooting all these threes. But yeah, so many of you guys, you just shoot threes, rebound, rinse and repeat. You know what I mean? One of the top guys he played against is Flawless Guns. He's a guy. He's like probably the best at forcing turnovers, you know, getting steal backs, things like that. He shoots a lot of threes, but he's able to do it because he's able to generate a lot of possessions for himself with his defense. So when your threes, you know, if you're a guy who shoots a lot of threes, you don't have no defense, you're gonna end up being exposed as an incomplete player. So if you want to be able to beat these strong opponents, you got to keep them honest on both sides of the ball. So you got to be able to mix it up. Don't have the same pattern. You know, don't shoot threes from the same spot every time. So many of you guys, you just shoot threes from the same spot each time, and then you end up getting shoved, wondering why, or, you know, shoving is cheap, this, that, and the third. It's gonna be easy wins if you're just shooting threes all the time. You know what I mean? So if you can mix up your game plan, you know, put in more twos, build lottery meter, work on your defense. You know, so many players, they don't, you know, you go against some randoms and they just standing there thinking that, oh, if I contest, I'll get some sort of, you know, I'm gonna force a miss. There's no contest in this game. It's you either block it or steal it, or you out the win with this shot. But some of you guys, you either be just playing like cherry picker defense, you just be like thinking you can goaltend, all this kind of nonsense. You gotta play active defense, put some swipes in there, try to go for steals. Your opponent shoots. You don't gotta, you know, you don't gotta bite for every single shot. You know, once in a while you gotta just wait to see if your opponent is pump faking you. Cause if you jump for every time, they're just gonna be abusing you with this pump fake. So take your time. You know, don't jump right away. Go for steals first. You know what I mean? But yeah, defense is like the key of this game. If you're really good at defense, you're gonna win a lot of games. If you're shooting a bunch of threes, I mean, you're gonna win some games because you hit a bunch of threes, but you're gonna lose a lot of games because you missed threes or because your opponent saw your patterns and shoved you. But that concludes this video. If you like this video, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe. Peace.